Hello, Demogorgons. It's Mjolnir Monday, July 8th. I'm Sexy Thor, and it's time for your weekly thunder. So, as we're nearing Extreme Rules, um, we've been informed that the whole Becky, Seth versus Corbin, Lacey Evans match will be an Extreme Rules match, so that's going to be absolutely wild. And this past week on Raw, Beth and Seth and Becky, God, wow. I didn't realize it was that hard to say. So they faced Mike and Maria Kanellis, who are usually on 205 Live, and they lose a lot there. So no surprise there. Seth and Becky won that match, and it's funny because it would start with Mike and Seth, and then Maria got tagged in, so she had to face Becky, and Maria was like, nope, I don't want any of this. And then Becky was like making a beeline for her pretty much, and that's when she announced that she's pregnant, which was a bombshell to everybody, especially Mike Kanellis. So he was looking there all shocked, and then Seth kicked his ass a little bit, and then Becky went and finished him off, and then Maria started yelling at him in front of everybody in the middle of the ring, humiliating him and questioning his manhood and wondering if he was even man enough to get her pregnant, or asking how he was man enough to get her pregnant. I don't know. Maybe Becky got her pregnant. I mean, she is that level of the man, I guess. Anyways, so Mike went on to tag with Drew Gulak and Arya Davari against Tony Nese, Oni Lorcan, and Akira Tozawa in 205 Live the next night, in which he lost that again. So he's not in a great headspace right now. Meanwhile, Becky and Seth will go on to face Andrade and Zelina Vega in a mixed match tag team match, which this is the wild card in effect because Andrade and Zelina went to Raw, and then Andrade and Charlotte became a thing, so he went back to SmackDown, and Zelina went with him, and since she's married to Aleister Black IRL, he went over back there, just explaining it again, just to maybe make it a little less confusing. If I didn't, well, no one's to blame here, except the WWE. But anyway, though I must remark that this was a missed opportunity. Like, even though Andrade and Zelina are like that, their characters are a tight team. Zelina is his manager and everything. This would have been quite the opportunity to make Andrade and Charlotte Flair's real life relationship into kayfabe. And I only say this because, we know Vince can't resist having Becky and Charlotte go against each other again in some sort of way. But hey, this should be pretty awesome either which way. Also, the Roman Reigns Undertaker versus Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre match is going to be no holds barred. And if you want an example of what no holds barred looks like, just take us back a few months to WrestleMania when Triple H and Batista faced off, and Triple H was like whipping Batista with like a freaking chain and ripping out his nose ring and shit like that. Yeah, it's something like that. Heavy Machinery was added to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship with Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Xavier Woods and Big E of the New Day, and they won that by defeating the most random ass piled up couple of people together in Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, both former WWE Championship contestants who probably aren't going to be shit compared to Samoa Joe, who had a face-off with Kofi Kingston, and then Kofi channeled his inner Stone Cold and just gave him the finger when Joe was proposing a ceasefire that was honestly probably not going to happen. So moving on to the 24/7 belt, really all that happened was Drake Maverick took his wife to Monday Night Raw, and he promised that he was a changed man, that he wasn't going to go after the belt ever again, blah, 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 blah. And Truth kept taunting him and poking that bear. And then at the end of the show, when R-Truth thought he was clear from all the other superstars chasing after him, Drake Maverick was just standing there minding his own business. Then he couldn't resist. He got in a ref. He whacked R-Truth with his luggage, I think it was, and pinned him. And now Drake Maverick is a 2-time 24/7 champion. And still an incredibly absentee 205 Live general manager. But any more complaining about that, and I'm going to sound like Mike Kanellis. So, Firefly Funhouse is pretty much canceled almost as soon as I started making it a regular segment. But I did tell you that last week, during the little shots of superstars walking down the hallways, you could see the different puppet characters in there, like Abby the Witch, Mercy the Buzzard, Ramblin' Rabbit, Muscus the Pig, all that sort of peeping in on superstars. And really, from what I could tell, no, Mercy the Buzzard was peeping in on The Miz on Monday, and Abby the Witch was peeping in on Apollo Crews on Tuesday. So, who knows when this is going to happen. I did have a sort of proposed sort of idea, of speculation, if you will, that it was going to be his debut, The Fiend's debut, was going to be against Aleister Black. Because for almost as long as Firefly Funhouse has been going, Aleister Black's been sitting in his super pitch black dark room, just being like, I want somebody to pick a fight with me. Cryptic, cryptic, cryptic. Pick a fight with me. Somebody knock on that door and pick a fight with me. And then a couple weeks ago, somebody knocked on his door, and then we didn't get an answer last week. But apparently, we will get an answer this Tuesday, and whoever his opponent will be, he'll be facing off against Aleister at Extreme Rules. Also, what's probably going to happen with Extreme Rules is there's probably going to be Ricochet and AJ Styles for the United States Championship, because AJ did earn an opportunity a couple weeks ago, and he ended up losing, just barely, last week. So it'll probably all come to a head, and it'll be him against Ricochet for the United States Championship. And Shinsuke Nakamura is facing off Finn Balor for the possibility of facing off for the Intercontinental Championship, which almost certainly Shinsuke will win, which will definitely make our good friend James Moser super happy. Shinsuke is definitely one of his favorite, if not his absolute favorite current superstar. So, best of luck, because I agree Shinsuke is a great talent, and he didn't deserve to be buried like he did, since he weirdly, questionably lost the United States Championship late last year to Rusev and R-Truth. So some quick basketball news, since now free agency is officially, legitimately in full effect. Kawhi Leonard, the hero of Canada, Canada's biggest hero, like, he's bigger than Captain Canuck and Nickelback. But yeah, Kawhi Leonard is now going to the Los Angeles Clippers, and Paul George, who Magic Johnson was fined for tampering with on Kimmel last year by mentioning that he wanted to go after Paul George. He went to the Clippers too. So, but you know what? Lakers still got Anthony Davis, and they re-signed some of their old veterans like JaVale McGee and Rajon Rondo, and picked up a couple of small veterans that'll be like role players like Jared Dudley. And also we got this guy that Jalen Rose likes to call Boogie! Yes, DeMarcus Cousins, the guy that was going to really solidify that 5 spot for the Warriors last year, who got shut down due to injury. Hopefully he'll be all better by the start of the season, because he signed a 1-year deal with the Lakers. So you got Boogie, you got Anthony Davis, you got LeBron James, and most importantly, that a lot of people still overlook, Kyle Kuzma. So this season will truly be a battle for Los Angeles, and it won't be just some weak-ass joke like the last few years. So Spider-Man Far From Home came out on Tuesday. It was quite the busy week on this past week. Oh my goodness. But Spider-Man Far From Home came out, and unlike Dark Phoenix, it was the exact opposite of hot garbage. It was fantastic. It had all the fun and action and humor and heart and everything you could ever want in a Spider-Man movie, especially now that we're in an era where the bar for Spider-Man movies are so high now. No longer is it just the two Amazing Spider-Mans and Spider-Man 3 being the most recent ones. Yeah, the MCU stepping up their game as usual. Definitely stay for the post-credits. I think they realized that with this being the epilogue of the Infinity Saga, they really had to step up. I mean, they didn't have to step up their game for the post-credit scenes. They could have just left it like that and be like, you'll find out by Comic-Con, motherfuckers. And yeah, no, they left a couple pretty great post-credit scenes. And also, really shout out to Zendaya for really bringing that much more depth and emotion to MJ's character. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, MJ was cool as shit in Homecoming. I like to compare her literally as a live-action Daria. I'm talking about MTV Daria. And think about that for like a good 30 seconds and tell me I'm wrong. She was pretty much Daria in Homecoming. But that's not a knock, because Daria is awesome. And MJ's awesome. And Zendaya is awesome. But yeah, we got to see a lot more from her. Ned kind of faded into the background. He wasn't as prevalent as he was with Homecoming, but there was nice little cutesy comic relief with him and Betty Brant as a couple. And golly, looking at the character of Betty Brant, that's just weird to think that the last person to play her was Elizabeth freaking Banks, who's kind of a big deal right now. So anyway, Spider-Man Far From Home, amazing. Go see it. Go see it 3 times. And if you have any money left over afterwards, go watch Endgame again, because it's still in theaters and it needs like $22 million to be Avatar. So do it. Seriously, I look at all the people that watch Dark Phoenix and still pay to watch Dark Phoenix even today, and I'm just like, that money could have gone towards a wonderful cause. Maybe they should have delayed Dark Phoenix like one more time just to let Endgame, really have its run. Just saying. So anyway, this next segment, I had this plan in my head after I read it to borrow this on Wednesday from Wheatley's History of Comic Books podcast, because every episode at the end he does a favorite comic book of the week, because every Wednesday, or just about every Wednesday religiously, he goes to Borderlands, picks up comics from his pull list, and then gives a review of his favorite one, as one should do. And it's funny because he released his next episode afterwards, which was a sort of classics mini episode in the series that he's been doing in between history seasons, called Captain America Operation Rebirth. And I'd already had this plan in my head to do it, but he kind of beat me to the punch. But this is Weekly Thunder, so I'm going to do it anyway. And so I'm going to say favorite comic book this week is Walking Dead 193, because Robert Kirkman announced it literally the day before. This is the final issue in the Walking Dead series. And it was really good too. Nice little wrap up. People that were pissed off by how the TV show's going should definitely pick it up and read it. Just a nice little, oh hey. I mean, come on. Walking Dead's basically a multiverse now. Except we don't really have any supernatural or magic elements in this particular world, so nobody thinks to call it a multiverse. But it's basically a multiverse. But yeah, wonderful comic, wonderful end to a series that, I mean, The Walking Dead definitely means a whole lot to me. It's pretty much symbolic of definitely a year of a period of time that I went through. Definitely some major positive changes in my life, which that sort of eventually snowballed and led me here to Thunder Talk and everything. And The Walking Dead pretty much spearheaded that. And also, like, stepped up. That was the year I stepped up my Halloween game, my fantasy football game, even though that was also the first year I played fantasy football. But yeah, also beforehand, I never really followed TV shows like that closely, like watching every episode. I would just kind of be like, okay, whatever, catch episode here, there, whatever, blah, blah. But as soon as I got turned on to The Walking Dead, that's when I watched all the second season, and then I went back when we were Black Friday shopping and picked up the first season on DVD for $10 and caught up. Fortunately, it was just 6 episodes, and from then on, I was hooked, and that's when I started discovering all these other TV shows like fucking Arrow and the whole CW DC universe and Game of Thrones and all this other stuff, and it's interesting that I get to talk about this now with the Walking Dead comic series in it. And actually, this is how I also started with Comixology, the Amazon digital comics subscription service, was because I really wanted to instantly start following along with the Walking Dead issue by issue, as it's happening present time, just so I know of what possibly might happen in the show later on. And, watching the show and reading the comic books hand in hand has definitely been a big treat for me. And it's funny that I'm talking about this right now. It's apparently funny in layers, because right now I've got Fear the Walking Dead paused on my TV right now. And that's another one I've been getting into. Well, not that I've been getting into, or I have in the last 2 years. I don't know. I'm just getting into this multi-layered rambling. But yeah, The Walking Dead, definitely a landmark thing in my life. Sad to see it go, especially a few months after the Telltale game series wrapped up. But apparently there's going to be a whole lot more Walking Dead TV stuff for years to come. Not just the main series and Fear the Walking Dead, but TV movies, which will be whenever Andrew Lincoln has some free time in his schedule and all that. And yeah, definitely check it out. And, if you haven't yet and you've been curious, jump into Walking Dead. It's a fantastic comic book, regardless of how you feel about the series. But I would suggest either picking them up in volumes for your bulk reading on a budget, or if you have the cash to lay down, go into the compendiums. I think that's how Wheatley's read the Walking Dead series so far, is picking up the compendiums. Correct me if I'm wrong, Wheatley. But yeah, and he highly recommends that version too. So yeah, fare thee well, Walking Dead comic books. Oh, yeah, that did remind me though, one of the multi-layered BT dubs. It's funny with this comic series ending, and also a lot of my shows also have been wrapped up in the last year and will continue to wrap up in the year following, such as Into the Badlands is wrapped up, Legion's in the process of unleashing its final season and wrapping up, all of the Marvel Netflix shows have wrapped up. What else? Next year, Arrow's wrapping up, Supernatural's wrapping up. I'm sure Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I could have sworn this was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s final season, but apparently there's going to be one more after this. So, I mean, I don't know how long that's got left, but I would say 2, maybe 3 seasons if by some weird grace. I mean, shoot, Marvel's got all its characters back, so, I mean, why not? So anyway, off that whole tangent, I'm just getting a little like, oh, where did the time go? All these things that I've been treasuring over the past decade has ended. So yeah, I told you History of Comic Books has that episode. Check it out. And also, Thunder Talk issue 9, if you haven't checked it out yet, what the hell are you waiting for? It's fantastic. I don't care what those Apple Podcast reviews say. It's fantastic. Listen to me. I have great grammar. That dude does not. And also, issue 10 will be coming really, really soon. Maybe by the time you listen to this. I don't know. Because y'all don't tell me how quickly you get on this. You don't tell me anything at all. I'm almost hurt. Anyways, I'm not hurt anymore. It's all good. You're amazing, Thunder Faithful. Thank you for listening both to Thunder Talk and your Weekly Thunder, if you still do. And if you're a newcomer, welcome. I hope you join us. I'm practicing and trying to get better at this, so if you just bear with me, I'll make it worth your while eventually. Sooner rather than later, I'm sure. But anyways, that was your Weekly Thunder for July 8th. I'm Sexy Thor, and remember to drink, fight, and remember that The Dark Knight is a great movie. And yeah, this is my show, so I can be as esoteric, self-referential, whatever you want to call it, as I want to be. Love you, mean it.